Good morning, everyone. This is roll reveal number 108. It's a 1958 Philadelphia Pittsburgh Fed wrapped roll. Well, I don't necessarily plan on finding any double die obverses in here, although it'd be very nice because there is one big major double die obverse for 1958 Philadelphia. Unfortunately, there's only been a couple of those ever found. So we are mainly really looking for one relatively minor double die reverse that is known. Let me get that extra chip in here for the wrapper. I got 50 names in here in my bag, getting them all mixed up. I'm going to go ahead and start opening the wrapper. If I can find my little tool. Where'd my little tool go? I had it out here not long ago. There it is. Okay. Go ahead and get started on this part. There we go. Get this other end opened up. What's up, Levels and Tim Crow? I didn't exactly plan on it being full of people at 10 o'clock in the morning, but it's when I've got a packed, loaded day full of work. I gotta get this stuff done. So here it is. So it is what it is. Oh my gosh. Too bad that's not the obverse. All right, so you'll find out what I meant in just a second here. Hello, Raymond, Joe. You'll find out just a second here. All right, we got our wrapper, got everything ready. We're here for coin number 1 for Chuck Patillo. Take a look at this. So we've got ourselves, appears to be a pretty much regular, normal obverse here. Okay. Now the D-mint is known to have double dies that show a little line underneath the B of Liberty. And 56 and 57 are pretty well known for doubled eyelids, so there's nothing saying we can't discover maybe something similar. Now take a look at this. Huang. We've got beautiful coloring on this side here that was exposed out to the air, so we have a really nice rainbow tone coin here. That's what I was saying. You'll find out in just a minute. As soon as I opened this roll, that rainbow popped out at me. I'm like, wow, that's nice. Real nice. Common Sense, Adam Chambers, how you guys doing? So we are looking for a known, relatively minor double die reverse. No known double die obverses, but we were just discussing that there's double die obverses known in the era. There's no reason why there shouldn't be one known for this particular issue. So we're going to be looking. 1958D is also known to have a single double die that shows in the date. And there would be no reason why we would not be able to find something similar in 1958 Philadelphia. Good morning, John. So we're just going to take a peek through all of these. You're getting some pretty nice 1958 Philadelphia Lincoln cents here anyway, regardless of all else, but we're going to take a peek and see what we can find for goodies. Paula, up early this morning with your coffee and ready to snuggle up to a little bit of roll opening, are you? Wipe the sleepy out of your eyes and watch a good show. Now the double die reverse that is known has just a little bit of extra. I mean, you can see the doubling in the upper left wheat. That's really where I'm looking for that one double die that is known. But of course, I'm also looking everywhere else for stuff that we do not yet know about, because there's plenty of it out there. Sure, there's plenty of it out there. One way or another. One of these days, somebody's going to run into something good for 1958 Philadelphia that's not the extremely rare major double die averse that everyone's going to take notice of, and they're going to say, wow, we need to get more 58 plain rolls. Start looking through more 58 plain rolls. Well, we might just be the beginning of that. And we might not be. That's all the fun about hunting. You have to hunt to find, right? It's not going to walk up to you. Good morning, Jessica. And we say hello to a new day. Today is Sunday, the 29th of March, 2020. The news headlines keep creeping up about coronavirus, its dangers, and the number of cases reported. That's because they're continuing to test, and people who've had it for weeks are finally being discovered, along with the possibility of some new cases. The death toll is going up as expected. Major severe storm outbreak yesterday. Yesterday evening, there's a rather strong tornado caught on live camera, a number of different ways, in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Not sure how much damage was caused, or if there were any injuries. It was a pretty nasty looking storm, that's for sure. Went from Jonesboro up northeast a little bit to just south of Paragould, Arkansas. There are a number of other storms, hail reports, and other things like that across the Midwest. Seems that we're probably going to get about the same thing today, only shifting east by a few miles. Prime Minister of Great Britain announced today that he is feeling a little bit better. However, the country should not release its hold on staying home and quarantining and social distancing, because he expects to see the virus get a lot worse before it gets better. And I think he's unfortunately correct. That looks almost like a little minor class 6. You see that? Extra thickness on the 9 and the 5. I'm going to watch this one closely. See if I see any sign of that anywhere else. Just a little tiny bit on the E of we. You can see that concavity at the upper extremities. Yeah, I'm not seeing it on Liberty at all. I don't know, maybe I'm making this up in my head, but it looks like it could be a little bit of a minor class 6. Well, we've got die cracks across the head. So, we've got ourselves a little bit of a marker to use in moving forward on that. Did I look at the reverse of this one? Yes, I did. Got that nice little bird's nest going on up there in the upper right wheat. Yeah, it looks just like very slight class 6 doubling here on the reverse too. But it is very slight. Very, very slight. It's not enough to list. It's these things that when you see these extremely, extremely minor ones, you have to know where to call the shot, where to draw the line. And while it seems that there may be some call for listing the really, really minor stuff, you have to realize this. The more minor you get into listing absolutely everything, not only is it more of a headache for the person listing the dies, but it's also much more of a headache for people trying to complete a set. And if you're trying to complete a set of stuff that gets way down into the most minor of minor, especially when you get into the later die states, these things get really, really hard to try to identify and separate the identification one die from the next. This is supposed to be, yes, it is a scientific hobby. And yes, if it is, it is. If it isn't, it isn't. But this is supposed to be a hobby of fun. It's not a whole lot of fun picking through 40 different split serif RPMs to figure out which one you have. And it's not very much fun picking through 15 different minor doubled eyelids to figure out which one you have. I try to keep things a little bit more on the interesting side, you might say. Try to keep things on the up and up as far as... See, here's another one of those. And it still looks like a minor class 6 in the date. Still looks like a minor class 6. Good morning, Mr. Crescent. And Shannon McCord. I'm thinking this could... I have to go back and take a look at it under my regular microscope, but it does appear that this could possibly be a listable minor class 6 double die obverse. Could be. This one's going to Sissy Atwell. Well, let's take a look at coin number 10. Coin number 10 going to Go Wi-Fi. Let's say this is a normal one. This one's obviously not the same die. Nothing. Nice and warm outside. Probably going to end up hitting a high of 85 today. It'll be really nice outdoor weather. And see, this one looks like it's another one. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not so much. This is a different die, so maybe I'm just seeing things. And coin number 11 for Guyver there. Coin 12 go to Chuck Patello. Yeah, I think if you guys like these roll reveals, you're definitely not going to want to miss the upcoming auction on Tuesday. First of all, it's going to be a box lot auction, just like last Tuesday. So there's going to be a lot of rolls. Find themselves a new home this coming Tuesday. But I've also got a number of reveals coming up on rolls that are just very uncommon. 1936 San Francisco, the 1945 D, 1950 D, 1949 S. We got a number of them. 1949 S roll that I have has a cardboard chip on one end, but the other end is open, and you can see the date on the end coin and the mint mark, and it is an RPM. So we know there are RPMs in that 1949 S roll. Cannot be certain exactly how many, but we can be certain there is at least one in there, right? It's right on the end of the roll. That was lucky coin number 13. So far, we've not found anything other than 1958 Philadelphia Lincoln cents, which is fine. These are nice coins. There's nothing. If you're looking for a 58 Philadelphia Lincoln cent, you found a nice one here. These things are in really nice shape. You don't open rolls like this with the expectation of finding something good. You open rolls like this with the hope of finding something good. So we are watching for shiny pretties. We just don't know whether or not they're actually going to show up. It's coin number 15 now. Go Wi-Fi. I think what would excite me a lot more than finding RPMs in the 1949 S roll would be finding double dies. There's 3 different known double die obverses that are all approximately the same. They show the pointed 1948 4 underneath the blunt or squared off 1949 4. I really like those. Adam Chambers, coin number 16. Oops. Wake up. There we go. And get this camera to wake up and do its job here. So I'm thinking it looks a little wide, looks a little odd up here. That's why I'm taking an extra careful look at it. Starts right around the T there. By the time you get over to the G and God, it looks extra wide. That could just be the result of a weaker strike. I flip over and see what I can find here. Yeah, looks like it's relatively normal. Had to hit just a little bit of coffee there. It is still early in the morning to me, even though it's 10:20. I don't usually get up till about 9 o'clock in the morning. So I'm still doing coffee time here. Jim Fletcher. Let's see what Mr. Fletcher gets. Now see that little tiny line right above the 9 of the date? You see it right above the left corner of the 9. That's the ever slightest amount of hub doubling there. I'm not going to call it, but I was seeing basically the same characteristic features on the 58 Philadelphia that I would on the 58 Denver, which doesn't surprise me at all because, well, they were made at the same time in the same shop. All of the dies were made in Philadelphia up until the die shop in Denver opened up in 1993. So, all PD and S dies were made in Philadelphia up until Denver opened up its own die shop. So it would make sense that little line next to the 8, that little line next to the 8 is a hit on the 8. Or it's a hit in the field next to the 8. Yeah, there's nothing else there though. Now there's a really, really tiny part of an extra curve that goes up from the left side of the 8, up at the top left part of the 8. That is master die doubling. That is on a lot of 1958 Lincolns. You have that extra little bit of doubling right there on the top of the 8. I will explain how people can get in on the roll reveals. These roll reveals are they're a sale of coins in a roll prior to the roll being opened. Every coin in the roll belongs to someone before I open the roll. This particular coin we just looked at belongs to Jim Fletcher. Now, Jim Fletcher went into the auction Tuesday, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesdays. And I offered this roll for purchase per coin with a limit of the number of coins a person could buy. And Jim bought some spots in the roll. So when the time comes for me to actually open the roll and go through it, I would make a name card, one of these little name cards right here, for every person who purchased a coin in the roll. Then as I go through the roll, I open the roll up, and then as I go through the roll, I pull cards out of a bag telling me who belongs to the next coin in the roll. That coin is put into a flip insert, or put into a flip, just like this right here. Put it into a flip, and put the name of that person in the insert. So I've got the person's name and the coin together and ready to go. And I actually ship those coins directly to the person who purchased them. So there's no gimmicks, no gifts, no oddball little things I go through. It's basically just you buy the coin, you get the coin. This is Vidal Gonzalez's coin, and nobody's ever seen this coin. This is a first right here. I'm going to put it underneath the microscope, and we're going to take a look at it, see if there's anything on here that has any particular bearing worth talking about. And if it doesn't, it's going to go in its flip with Vidal's name, and it will be mailed directly to Vidal. Now, you get involved in this by coming to the 8 o'clock p.m. Tuesday auction. Now, you have to know up front that you need to be registered ahead of time. To register ahead of time, you send us an email, coppercoinspayments@gmail.com. It's coppercoinspayments@gmail.com. You send us an email, give us your YouTube name, your regular name, and your PayPal email address. Give us those 3 bits of information, we'll get you registered for free. Then Tuesday evenings, you come to the auction, and you get yourself ready to throw your name out there to get in on these rolls. Because when I announce these rolls for sale, and I tell you how many you can get and how much they are, I have to do a shotgun start on these things, because these rolls sell out in seconds. Literally seconds. I've had rolls sell out in less than 2 seconds. You guys just got to be quick on the gun. So if I tell you these are $2 a piece with a maximum of 4 coins per person, be ready to say you want 4 if you want them, if you want 2 if you want them. Be ready to say that as soon as I tell you, because we do a shotgun start on these. And the shotgun start is I put a statement out there, and as soon as it shows up in the chat, you guys can start. So it's kind of like I blast a shotgun up in the air and everybody jumps to get theirs. And that's really kind of how it works. It's almost like busting a piñata, man. Everybody just scrambles for the candy. And that's really kind of how it works. And we generally do between 4 and 8 rolls per week. And when I open a roll like this, if I find any die varieties in it, I will make sure and attribute those die varieties for you and annotate it on your flip insert. So you actually I print a new flip insert for your coin if you get a die variety. And it's going to look a little bit more like this. It'll actually have the die number up there and it'll tell you what it is. And here's one of them right here. Right there. So this one was a new listing back in December. 1959D 1MMO65. It's RPM number 65. And so that was a new listing when that roll was opened. So if you get a new listing, I'll annotate new listing on there for you. And if I need photographs of that particular die and you happen to own the best coin that came out of the roll for that particular die, I'll photograph your coin, give you credit for the ownership of the coin on the website, and I will add those photos to the website. So your coin will be the actual coin photographed for coppercoins.com. That means something only to the effect that if you like having the provenance of that quote-unquote plate coin, you can send your coin into Annex, tell them that it was a plate coin for Copper Coins. Send them the signed flip insert with your coin, because I sign the flip inserts on the ones that are plate coins. I sign all of those. Send that signed plate coin flip insert in with your coin. They'll look it up. They'll see that the little marks and dings and dents on the coin are exactly the same as the photographs. See that little dent on the one right there in that little spot next to the one? If this were a plate coin and I gave that to Wild Bill as his plate coin, he could send it into Annex, and the photographs of the coin would show those little marks that are different from every other coin on the planet. And they'd be able to tell that the coin in the photographs is exactly the same as the coin they're getting ready to grade. They'll put it on the holder for you that it's a plate coin, Copper Coins plate coin. If you request it, they'll do it. Now, they're not going to automatically give you plate coin designation on something just because you turned in a coin that says plate coin, because they don't know that you want it to say that until you request it. You have to request it, and if it costs extra, then you have to pay the extra for it too. I'm not really sure that it does. I only sign plate coins. That's correct. So if I find 12 of a particular die in a roll and I use one of them as the plate coin, that one goes out signed. The other 11 don't. They go out with a die number on them, but they don't go out signed. Up to coin number 25 now. New Marshall in town. During each one of these reveals, I try to give you guys some tidbits of information. Information on grading, information on telling dice dates and stages and other things. You got your 14D. That's pretty cool. And if you can get really good photos of it, send me really good photos. I'll help you make sure that it's a real one. Moving on to coin number 26 now. Levels of Madness. Let's see what we can do for Levels of Madness here. It appears as though we're going to get a 1958 roll, just like any other 1958 roll that is nice and uncirculated. Hey, there's a nice rim to shoulder die crack there. In fact, it's a die crack network. That looks pretty nice. Yeah, I think anytime you can take a bunch of modern quarters and trade them for a 1914 D Lincoln, you got yourself a nice trade. If the 14D is real. You have to make sure that's real first. And then we'll start talking about how it's a nice trade. I looked at the photos that he sent to me on it, and they appear to be that of a genuine coin. But, yeah, sometimes you got to get really close to these things to tell. Most of the fakes are pretty obvious to me, just because the design doesn't look right. But on some of them, the devil's in the details, and sometimes it's in the really fine details. Sometimes it's the real fine stuff. All right, up to coin number 27. No die varieties yet, but that was kind of to be expected with this particular roll. Guyver is next. This is for Joe McBride. There's a number of nice coins coming out of this roll. Overall, very nice looking coins. That one's a full gem, full 65 gem. Coin number 30 now. Goes to Mr. Marshall. These are early to mid die state coins. You can see that there's a little bit of flow on these coins, but they do have very sharp outer edges near the rim. You see how sharp the upper edge of that T is? That tells you it's an earlier die state coin, but the fact that there is a little bit of feathering, you can see that there is just a little bit of feathering on it. It tells you it does have just the tiniest amount of die wear. See these die scratches out here don't tell you anything. They can polish a die before they even hang it to mint coins. Die can get started with die scratches on it. Just depends on how overzealous the person working the press was. Dice date is only a matter of how old the die is, which means you're only looking at the wear on the die, not looking at anything else. Hey, Eric. There's Adam Chambers. Adam Chambers for coin number 31. Another early to mid die state coin. This one's an... We call this EMDS, early mid-die state. It's an earlier part of mid-die state. I tell that because we do have some flow lines. You can see that we have some flow. which basically is just these little feathers coming off the top side of the letters near the rim. Given that we do have some flow, we are in at least a mid-die state, so you can see flow lines there too. Now the obverse and reverse, they're going to wear separately because these were not necessarily hung on the press at the same time. And because of the nature of one being above and the other being below, the one below actually wears a little faster than the one up above. Oh, farm dog. Another one for Levels of Madness. It's coin number 32. Coin number 32 in the roll. Got a lot of the same dies over and over again, I'm noticing. But there's nothing here. So far, there's not been anything here to say, hey, you need to hold this one out. And that, I mean, it's kind of expected. It's 1958 Philadelphia. There's no mint marks. There's no repunch mint marks, no over mint marks. There are, but only one known double die obverse, and that double die obverse is major. There's only 2 of those known in the world. So finding one in this roll would be a super major news story. Headline news story. Completely don't plan on ever seeing one again. Now the double die reverse, there's actually 4 different double die reverses known. 3 of them belong with proof coins, so it's impossible for us to get those in this roll because they are for proof coins. And then there's one for typical business strike coins. And it shows here on the E.P, and it shows here on the upper left wheat along with other parts of the design, but if you don't see it up here, you don't have it. It's a class 2, shows a little bit of separation on the E and the dot, and on the P, and a little less on the LURI, pluribus. But then if you go down into the wheat lines, the wheat lines are doubled. And you can see that doubling pretty easily if you're looking with a decent scope. And that's where I pick it up from. My major pickup point is going to be that those lines in the upper wheat are doubled. I'm not going to send you off into commercial land, but I am going to take a little break. It's going to be about 30 seconds. Get myself another swift of coffee. I'm going to sit back in my chair just a little bit and get my back a little bit better aligned. Back to it. Drag another name out of the bag. Kelly Michaud. Kelly Michaud, our wonderful Canadian friend. Let's see what we get. Hang on just a second. Let me get these. Got a couple of pens sitting in my way. I wanted to get out of my way first. Got nothing on the obverse. Nice lustrous coin though. Really nice lustrous coin. We've seen this die pair before. I figured that out as these little die chips. Got 3 little die chips in the upper right wheat. I've seen that before. next up would be coin number 36. Had to go grocery shopping with the wife. Did you get any toilet paper? Are we still out of toilet paper? Mr. Fletcher. Mr. Fletcher gets the next coin. I haven't been to a grocery store in weeks. Got enough food to last us a little while. Wife's gone to the grocery store a couple of times and picked a few things up. I'm usually the one who does all the grocery shopping in the house. She's been out for other needs and getting other things done. She just stops by the grocery store and gets the stuff anyway. Of the three of us, I am the highest risk person in the house. So they protect me pretty well from the unseen enemy. I have a hypertension issue. I have a diabetes issue. So those are pre-existing conditions that underlie a higher risk for the COVID-19 illness. Didn't need it, but they have it. Well, that's good. At least we know the idiots out there clamoring for rolls of toilet paper for whatever reason, thinking that this is going to be the apocalyptic end of the earth and you needed to be able to wipe your butt all the way through it. At least they're done. It is really cool how the grocery stores kind of band together and saying, hey, you bought that stuff, you keep it. We're not taking it back. Sad people bought truckloads of toilet paper. They're going to have toilet paper for years. It's a good thing it wasn't bananas. Those things will rot. You'll lose your butt on those things. Well, at least with toilet paper, you're going to have toilet paper, and, well, you're just going to have it, and you're going to have it. Nice little die chip on the S of states there. Nice little die chip on the T of cent, upper and lower. Die chip on the top of the E of 1. We've just got little chippity chip chips everywhere. There's another die chip. Chip chip everywhere. There's chip chips. Interesting little reverse. That's coin number 38. Moving on to coin number 39. Moving on. Farm dog. Forgive me if I don't sound like a cow. That was my motivation. And a cow goes, mmm. See and say. I remember those things. It's been probably 30 years since there's been one around here. Oh, Stephen Dallas. Go Wi-Fi comes up next. Go Wi-Fi for coin number 40. And this is coin number 40. So far coming up empty for die varieties, but that was kind of expected. See, there's our 3-chip die again. We've seen this one before. We still give a good peek for errors or other things of specific importance. We have a statement by Adam Chambers that causes us reason for conversation. So let's get to it. I'm trying to attribute a DDR in a 1941 penny and noticed Wexler has no listing for DDRs. It's definitely a DDR, and Variety Vista doesn't show the die markers, really, so it's hard to see which one it is. Well, I can't really answer for what Wexler lists and doesn't list and why, but I do know that there are definitely double die reverses for 1941, especially if you're talking about a Class 6 double die reverse. Those double die reverses are very often difficult to discern from one another without really good marker information. And I know that often Variety Vista's marker information is not as easily visible as you would like. However, if you're really crafty, you may find markers on your coin that match the Variety Vista photos for markers that weren't even mentioned on Variety Vista. I've done that a number of times. I found little die scratches or something someplace that you can see in the Variety Vista photos, and you can see them on my coin, so I was relatively certain that I had the right die. But right now, the best place that I can tell you for 1941 double die reverses is going to be my website, coppercoins.com. If you don't find it there, there's some chance you could have a new listing. They get a little bit frustrating simply because, well, if you have a new listing, you're not going to find any specific information on it, but you can really kill yourself looking. I would give it a certain amount of effort to be sure that what I'm looking at is not already listed. Then I would consider the possibility of hanging onto that coin as unlisted or new until we can get to it, get it looked at, and get it photographed for the website. That's going to be ready, I would say, within the next 2 to 3 months. We're going to be ready to start doing attributions. It's not going to be me doing it, though. I'm working on a few people to get them prepped up and ready with the right equipment and the right everything that it takes to be able to attribute die varieties. We're going to be updating the attribution page on Copper Coins at that time. For right now, I would prefer not mention anything regarding who. I would also prefer not mention anything regarding price. But I can tell you that when the attribution window opens back up, there will be specifics as to each attributor, their rules as to how many coins you can send in, their turnaround time as to how long to expect to wait for your coins to be returned, along with other personal rules about how one person handles packages versus how another person handles packages. But the general point is going to be that you're going to be sending coins in to be attributed for coppercoins.com to the CopperCoins system. So everyone's got the same playbook, just a matter of how they actually run the plays. And that's a coach-to-coach thing. So each person who does attributions is going to make their own rules on how many coins you can send, what they're charging for their shipping rate, what they're charging for the exact amount to do attributions, and what to expect from them when they do your attributions. Rules about how to send the coins into them, how to inventory the coins that you do send. Everyone's going to have their own specific likes and dislikes regarding how you handle it. So I'm not making the rules there, allowing the people who actually are going to be handling the coins to make the rules. Now, why am I not doing it? I'm not going to be doing it because I have a lot of work sitting in front of me. That one's going to Adam Chambers. Adam Chambers gets the wrapper here. So let me find my marker. I lost my marker yesterday. I haven't found it yet. And I still don't know where it is. So I'm going to put his name on here. With my little marker. I can read it. So I'm fine. I know you can't see it very well from there. But here is the wrapper. Adam's name will go there inside the wrapper. Wrapper wraps back up around his name, and he will get that wrapper. Now up to coin number 46. Yeah, the unfortunate thing for Wexler is well, actually, both of us have websites that are kind of difficult to navigate, but Wexler's website is like all in one long page. Sometimes it takes forever to scroll down through 60 different dies looking for what you're looking for. And then my website's a little bit difficult to drive. That's going to change. It'll take time, but it's going to change. It'll get better. Searching bank wrap rolls of 1960D small date and found one that weighed 2.97 grams. 2.97 grams. Just a little tiny bit outside of tolerance, but it's not enough to really make it worth much. If it sounds totally different when you let it settle on a table, or if it looks the wrong color or the wrong tint, you could have something. But 2.97 grams is only 0.1 grams off of the normal weight. Tolerance is 0.05, so you're just barely outside of tolerance, not really enough to make a difference. As far as I'm concerned, it's probably nothing to get excited about. Few things have to come together to make it exciting. First thing is it has to have the same weight measure as a foreign coin struck by the United States in that same era, so that you would have a foreign coin planchet to match it up together. Tapered planchet strikes do have some value. However, tapered planchet strikes have to show as a tapered planchet strike. So you have to have a lot of weakness on one edge, and on the opposite edge it's normal, strong strike. Those are usually for a Lincoln cent, for a bronze brass Lincoln cent. Tapered planchets you're usually going to weigh like 2.5 grams. It's going to be way off. You're going to be at least 0.5, off. Not 0.2. Be a live auction at 3 o'clock this afternoon right here on the Copper Coins channel, hosted by yours truly, or ours truly, Miss Jessica Johnson. She's got a lot of stuff coming up today. A lot of good stuff, including rolls. And some nice pretties for you to bid on. Dun, dun, dun. Nothing else going on here. Let's see here. That's coin number 49. We're one coin away from the end of the roll. This one's going to be coin number 50. And this thing right here is a highly attractive coin, folks. Whoever gets coin number 50, I haven't really kept track of who is who. It's going to be Vidal Gonzalez. Vidal Gonzalez will get coin number 50. This one was facing the outside, so it does have the toning. It's got nice toning. It's a little spotty, but it does have very nice toning on it. Really, really nice. Well, Bill, I've got two left for today. I've got a 1960 Philadelphia roll at 1 p.m. And then I have rescheduled the 1959D for 7 p.m. At 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. It's a 60p roll and a 59D roll. There's some chance on that 94p. I'm not going to say there's no chance, but if it's got separation in it and it hasn't been reported to date, I would probably at first want to tell you to be sure it's not machine doubling, because that's going to be probably a 95%. That's what it's going to be, and most of the rest of the 5% is going to be actually probably 50-50. Is it's either machine doubling or it's going to be a measure of die wear. So there we go. 50 nice bright red uncirculated coins with toners on both ends. And right there is your auction list for the auction coming up later today. And I appreciate you guys stopping by. I'm going to be back at 1 o'clock for a reveal of this Pittsburgh Fed Reserve wrapped 1960 Philadelphia roll. The end coins on this thing are just absolutely beautiful, bright coins. So I'm looking forward to this one. I think it's going to be a nice roll. So I'll talk at you later, folks. Joe, I've got your PM. I'll take a look at it. Jessica, I've got yours. I'll take a look at that. So I'll talk to you guys later. I'll see you at 1 o'clock.